Hey everybody, this is Abby from Realistic Kitchen and Gardens. Today is, what is today? Friday, March 27th, 8th, something around there. I'm about 8 to 9 weeks out from my last frost-free date. So here's everything that I have inside. A lot of it needs to still be potted up and others have just been potted up. So we're in a little bit of chaos, but let's start with this right-hand rack here. We have Strawberry Fields Globe Amaranth, which is going to be a companion in sets of 3. I just put water in the bottom here to bottom water because it compacts the soil less. This one never germinated. But I decided to do them in sets of 3 and they germinated pretty well. And then I have Orange Button Calendula and then Bronze Beauty Calendula. This one is more pink. This one is a nice solid orange with a pretty dark center. So only 2 of those and 4 of the Bronze Beauty. Here's a little humidity dome. I had to reseed my New Yorker tomatoes yesterday. I don't know what happened, if they got seeded too deep or what, but they were very scraggly plants. You'll see them later in the video. And then in the back, these teeny tiny things are the Lisianthus, Roseanne Black Pearl Lisianthus. They look almost like a ranunculus kind of bloom if you're familiar with them. These are extremely slow growing, so we're struggling along. And then this is all basil, which will be companion plants and obviously edible plants. All emerald towers. This is a Genovese style, upright, more columnar type. And then Mrs. Burns lemon basil, which is going to be much more ornamental than it is edible, although it is also delicious. It's very lemony. It's quite pleasant. And then we have the 4 surviving Elegance lavender, which was started in January, and I potted them up yesterday. The plants alone are nice and fragrant, but they do flower the first year. I had pretty good luck with them last year. Then I have a pot back here of onion chives, which are the classic type of chives that you think of in a bunch. And then I have garlic chives, which are more of a, technically they're considered an oriental vegetable. And you can see that very first one just coming up. They are in the onion family, so they look just like an onion when they come up, kind of folded in half. And then I have this set of Adriana, I think it's technically a butter lettuce. These are starts that were from February 28th, so I need to pot those outside. This was the mystery plant that was in the lavender in that 6-pack that I had originally from when I seeded them. And I have confirmed with the smell test of the leaf that it is somehow a Golden Jubilee anise hyssop. It has that licoricey smell like anise hyssop, hence anise. And then here's more companion basil, purple opal basil, which is, it's a Genovese type, but it has a little bit more of a thicker, more succulent leaf. And Japanese beetles don't bother them, and they tolerate more sun than regular green basil does. And then here's lime basil, which really does have a lime flavor and scent to it. So these will be companions and edible as well. They, as all basils do, they flower very nicely too. And then down here are kind of my oldest plants for this year that look older. These are all the brassicas. So these 3 are Katarina cabbage. These 3 are Tiara cabbage, both seeded February 11th, and they'll be going out next week to harden off, and then the week after that they'll be transplanted. These 3 are Fujiyama cauliflower. They're supposed to be a 45-day variety, also planted on February 11th. And then this one is early snow cauliflower, again planted the same day. And then these are, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, if it's pronounced minuet or minute, Chinese cabbage, which I'm growing 3 of, and it's going to be surrounded by mustard plants and used for kimchi. And then I have these 2 thyme plants. This is French thyme, which has a plain kind of blushy color underneath. But this common thyme, excuse me, cilantro, has these bright red under leaves. So now I can tell them apart easily enough. This voluptuous beast is the seeding of long-standing cilantro from January 23rd. I'm impressed how well it's doing in here. I mean, it's cool in here. It's about 64 ambient temperature, but it's very dry in here, all things considered. So I'm quite happy. I love cilantro as a plant. And if you say you don't like cilantro, not that it tastes soapy, because that's a genetic thing, but if you don't like cilantro, you should try growing it because it is delicious, really fresh. Okay, the other biggest plants I have are these two, what are these? Overwintering plain parsley. I grew this variety last year and loved it. It tolerated a lot of the winter until it got really, really cold and dry. The dry was what really killed it, but like even being in this pot, these are nice big leaves. I unfortunately am breastfeeding my 3-month-old, so parsley, oregano, there's another one. Those herbs dry out milk supply, so I won't be able to enjoy this year, which is a little bittersweet. So I'm thinking of possibly trading one of these extra plants because I won't need this much parsley. And then onto all these are my peppers. So here, all the way through here, are my sweet bell peppers. This is the Gurney's Sweet Bell Mix. So there's red, orange, yellow, green, and purple, I think. That or it's no green, but there's definitely purple. Some of these stems, so you can see this stem is plain green. So I bet that's going to be either orange or yellow or a green pepper. But some of these, like this one, is pretty pigmented. So I wonder if this is going to be a purple. And this isn't even the darkest one. There's another one back there. If you can see, just having a great time with my lights. That one back there in the corner is very pigmented. So I wonder if the really dark pigmented ones are going to be purple or red or something along those lines. I personally think snapdragons are similar, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then here are the other peppers. So there's 2 Thai Moon and Vesuvius Thai chilies, 2 early jalapenos, which I think is a 55, it's either 45 or 55 day variety after transplant. And then I only got 1 sweet banana pepper. I wanted 2, but I didn't get that. And then bonfire salvia, there's 5 of these 5. They were all seeded at the same time, and I originally had seeded 6 cells, but 2 of them were even smaller than that one. So this is that classic small tubular plant that hummingbirds really like, the long flower that I wish I could pin up a picture for you, but I don't have any pictures. But that's what that is. And then blue bedder salvia is technically a completely different plant. It's not a variety. This is more like an actual salvia, like what I had at the half-acre house last year. Ooh, you got pinched. Let's try to unpinch you. Whoop, you lost your leaf, you poor babe. Anyway, so these will flower like a traditional salvia, like a small, short, bushy, shrubby kind of thing, where this will look like a typical flower. These are on, this set is on a heat mat. You can't really see it from where it's at, but I have it raised so it's closer to the light, and then when these plants get taller, I'll pull it away, kind of like those. So there. And then these are snapdragons. This is what I was talking about with the pigmented. You can kind of guesstimate what color they're going to be. There's some that are lighter color and some that are darker. And this is the same mix that I grew last year, and I did like the mix. It's Rocket Mix Snapdragons from Johnny's. Johnny's? I think Johnny's. They have a really good flower selection. They're expensive, but they have a really good selection. I need to up pot these, but I ran out of time, space, and lights. So I need to set up my 3rd seed starting rack. And then these are a new plant to me, straw flower. I think they're kind of in the sunflower family, but not really like I can't really describe them. It's a new flower to me. They're supposed to be an excellent dried flower, but this is copper red and purple red. So the outer bits of the plant, of the flower, excuse me, are that color, either copper orangey red or purple, dark purple. And then the very center is a really pretty yellow orangey color. You'll have to wait and see. You'll understand. And then these are all my celeries and an orange jello thyme. That I started at the same time with all the tomatoes and 2 days before the peppers. These 6 are my celeriac celery root, and then the rest are in these tall 4-packs. That's the Tango stock celery. So this is grown more for the root, and this is grown more for the stalk, like you think of with typical celery. Had a really bad time with celery last year, so we'll see how we do this year. The thyme just needs to get big. This is supposed to be like orangey flavored, and I did grow some last year, but I think every single potted plant I have died. Rosemary, thyme, everything. So, yay. And then last bit here is all the tomatoes, other than New Yorker. I'll just start with the elephant in the room of these are the New Yorker. All of these were seeded at the same exact time. All of them. So they should all be this size. But these 2 New Yorker were 2 of 7, because I want to grow 7 of each variety. And these were the 2 biggest ones, and the rest of them were absolutely pipsqueaks. So I ended up restarting them. In my area, I can usually get away with starting tomatoes as late as April 1st. So I have a little time, but these were the ones from the 3rd, from the rest of the time. And then those ones up there, I reseeded yesterday, day before yesterday. Bartelli cherry, I grew last year and I'm growing again. The one cell I seeded had 2, so I up-potted both of them, and if nothing else, I'll trade for something else. Or it'll just go to plant heaven, whatever. Russell mixed lupine. I did grow this, I started to grow this last year, but it never made it into the ground. But I love how very characteristic their leaves are. They're very easy to identify. These and delphinium, I believe. Is it delphinium in lupine? Or is it delphinium in something else? But they're basically sometimes considered the same plant. But this is true lupine. This is not a variety of delphinium or whatever the other plant is. So this plant is non-toxic, where delphinium is toxic if eaten. Not that I want necessarily to eat these, but it's just a flower that'll be a companion. This row right here is bobcat, which is a nice round. All of these are determinate tomatoes except Bartelli. Bartelli is an indeterminate, so it'll vine upward and keep putting off fruit. Where the other 4 varieties, including New Yorker, produce, their determinate plants are more bushy, and they kind of put off all their fruit more at once. They'll have one larger kind of flush, where indeterminates just kind of put off a branch or 2 at a time. So all of these are considered to be larger, nice round fruits. One of them I think is more of, I think Supremo, which is this next variety here. Supremo is a larger Roma style fruit, so it's more oblong and oval, where New Yorker, Bobcat, Defiant, and New Yorker are all more, they're technically considered slicers, where Supremo is considered a sauce tomato, but you can arguably make a sauce out of any tomato. It just takes a little longer. So New Yorker, Bobcat, Supremo, and Defiant. Those are all the tomatoes. These are plenty watered, I promise. They're just bottom watered, so the very top doesn't look moist, but if you uncover that very top layer, it's moist. I promise these are watered. It's just the very, very top. and I'll end up watering it again anyway, if nothing else, to help retain moisture. So that's everything inside. I really don't have anything outside yet that is interesting to look at. I have potatoes, carrots that may fail actually because of how wild the weather's been. I transplanted the shallots that I started in January or February, I forget now. The delphinium, which I seeded with all these other flowers, never germinated, so, but that was supposed to be started in January and they never came through. I started direct sowing bachelor's buttons as companions in the squash area, but again, they're not even started yet. And then 3 varieties of peas. I did those pre-sprouted Champion of England, they're up. And then I did Surge, which are shelling, and Little Purple Snow Pea, which are a snow pea. So those 2 varieties aren't up yet, but I direct seeded them dry. I didn't pre-sprout them. I think that's all. And lettuces that I've transplanted out, but that's all that's outside. Nothing's really like visual yet, so it's really not that interesting. But as soon as they are interesting, I will show you videos of the walkthroughs like I do in the summer. They're coming back. I'm still here. I'm just focusing on the plants and the videos right now. So if you like this kind of stuff, please stick around, subscribe, follow, like, comment. What are you growing? What do you want to see more of? Do you want to see seed starting videos? Because the only other thing I'll be starting this year, this is basically everything. The only other things that need to be started this year, I'm going to start all my cucurbits inside. So cucumbers, all the squashes, that's about it. Zucchini I'll direct sow because you can't, I don't think you could kill zucchini if you tried. But yeah, everything else is here and ready. So let me know what you want to see, what you're most excited for to see this year. Yeah, thanks. Bye.